It was one of those idle Tuesday evenings when the impulse to watch a movie alone seized me. I chose an old theater downtown, known more for its decrepit charm than its current cinematic offerings. The marquee, flickering in the twilight, displayed the title of an obscure horror film, Whispers in the Dark. Entering the lobby, a musty scent hung in the air, mingling with the faint aroma of stale popcorn. The place was deserted except for an elderly ticket taker, whose eyes seemed as faded as the velvet curtains framing the entrance. He handed me a ticket without a word, his gnarled fingers brushing mine with an unsettling coldness. The interior of the theater was a cavernous space, swallowed by shadows. I found my seat in the middle of an empty row, the fabric of the chair worn thin by countless previous occupants. As the lights dimmed and the screen flickered to life, a chill seeped through the room, unnatural and biting. The film began with the cliché of a group of teenagers entering an abandoned house. Their laughter filled the theater, stark against the otherwise oppressive silence surrounding me. That's when the whispers started. At first, I thought they were part of the movie's audio track, a clever trick to unsettle the audience. But as I paused to listen, the whispers seemed disjointed from the film, echoing around me, words indistinguishable. Midway through the movie, a shadow darted across the screen. I blinked, attributing it to a trick of the light or a flaw in the film. Then it happened again, closer this time, as if something, or someone, was moving in front of the projector. I turned to look at the projection booth. The small window was dark, no silhouette of a projectionist in sight. My heart started to pound, the eerie feeling I was not alone growing stronger. Glancing around, I caught movement in the corner of my eye. Every time I turned to look directly at it, there was nothing but the rows of empty seats. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of hisses that seemed to close in on me. Leave. Go. The words were now discernible, hissed in urgency. I stared at the screen, trying to focus on the movie, but my attention was fragmented by the increasing sense of dread. The temperature dropped further, my breath visible in the air, forming small clouds that lingered before dissipating into the darkness. Then, the screen went blank. The sudden loss of light was disorienting, plunging the theater into pitch black. My pulse raced, the silence oppressive, filled only by my ragged breathing. A scream shattered the stillness, not from the screen, but from behind me. I spun around, heart in my throat, to face the back of the theater. A figure stood by the exit, barely discernible but unmistakably there, a woman, her features obscured by shadows, her dress a flowing silhouette that seemed to absorb the faint light escaping from the exit signs. She pointed at me, her arm outstretched, her finger aimed directly at my heart. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice a rasping echo that filled the theater. I stumbled to my feet, intent on fleeing, but as I turned towards the aisle, another figure materialized at the end of it. A man, tall and gaunt, his eyes hollows of unrelenting darkness. He moved towards me, each step deliberate and soundless. Trapped between the two apparitions, I slumped back into my seat, my body trembling uncontrollably. The man's face loomed closer, his features blurring and reforming into a grotesque mask of grief and anger. "Why do you watch?" he hissed, his breath cold against my face. The woman's voice joined in, a harmonic wail that vibrated through the air. "Why do you stay?" I squeezed my eyes shut, covering my ears, trying to block out their accusations. But their presence was overwhelming, suffocating. I could feel their sorrow, their rage, emotions so potent they were almost tangible. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the pressure lifted. I opened my eyes. The screen flickered back to life, the movie resuming as if nothing had happened. The figures were gone. I was alone again, the only sound the flickering dialogue from the film. As I made my way out of the theater, the ticket taker was nowhere to be seen. The lobby was silent, the eerie feeling of being watched lingering like a bad aftertaste. As I stepped out into the cool night air, the marquee lights flickered and then went out, leaving me in the streetlight's cold glow. The whispers followed me as I walked, a susurrus tide that ebbed and flowed with each step. I turned once to look back at the theater, its facade now dark, lifeless, and utterly forbidding. But I knew, deep down, that the story wasn't over. The movie might have ended, but the horror had just begun. I hurried away from the theater, the streets unnaturally quiet, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Every shadow seemed to stretch towards me, every flicker of movement a whisper of the horror I had left behind. But the feeling of being watched persisted, clawing at the edges of my sanity. As I rounded a corner, I thought I heard my name, a soft, sinuous call that slithered through the night air. I spun around, my eyes scanning the empty street, but there was nothing. Only the wind, or so I tried to convince myself, brushing past the leaves in a hushed, rustling whisper. Unable to shake the sensation of unseen eyes upon me, I picked up my pace, the echoes of my footsteps a staccato beat against the pavement. I reached my apartment, fumbling with the keys, my hands shaking as I unlocked the door and slipped inside, slamming it shut behind me. The safety of home did little to soothe my nerves. The apartment felt colder than I remembered, the shadows deeper. I tried to busy myself, making a cup of tea, turning on every light I could find, but the darkness seemed to lurk just at the edge of the light, watching, waiting. As the tea kettle whistled, a shiver ran down my spine. It wasn't the sound of the kettle that unnerved me, it was the whisper that accompanied it, a voice so close I could almost feel the breath on my ear. "They followed you." I spun around, my heart pounding, only to find the kitchen empty. The steam from the kettle curled into the air, twisting into shapes that I dared not interpret. I grabbed the kettle, shutting it off, the sudden silence thunderous in my ears. Trying to calm myself, I retreated to the living room, tea forgotten, and sat on the couch, wrapping myself in a blanket. I needed to think, to understand what was happening. Was I losing my mind? Or had something followed me from that theater, something that lingered now in the corners of my room? The TV remote lay on the coffee table, and on impulse, I turned it on, the sudden burst of light and sound a temporary reprieve from the encroaching dread. But as I flipped through the channels, a pattern emerged on the screen, a flicker of shadows, like figures moving just beyond the glass. I stopped on an old black and white movie, the kind you'd expect to see in a theater like the one I'd fled. As I watched, the characters on screen suddenly turned, their eyes meeting mine. It was ridiculous, impossible, yet there they were, staring out at me, their expressions twisted into grimaces of fear and warning. "You need to leave," one of them mouthed, the words silent but clear. I stood up, backing away from the TV. The characters continued to watch me, their eyes following my every move. It was a hallucination, it had to be. But then, the woman on the screen reached out, her hand pressing against the glass, and I heard the whisper again, louder this time. "They're here." A knock at the door jolted me from my terror. Who could it be at this hour? I approached slowly, peering through the peephole. Nothing. Just the empty hallway. But as I turned away, the knock came again, louder, more insistent. Gathering my courage, I opened the door a crack, the chain still latched. The hallway was empty, the light flickering ominously. As I stared out, trying to make sense of it, a cold breeze swept through the gap, carrying with it a faint, almost imperceptible whisper, "Let us in." I slammed the door shut, locking it. Leaning against it, I tried to breathe, to think. What were they? Ghosts? Spirits? Or something darker, something that had escaped the confines of that old theater with me? As I pushed away from the door, the air grew colder, the shadows darker. I realized then that the lights were dimming, one by one, as if a shadow was passing over them. The darkness crept closer, and with it, the whispers multiplied, a chorus of voices that filled the room. "You cannot escape, we will find you, join us." The room was almost dark now, the only light coming from the television, where the characters still watched me, their faces contorted in silent screams. Then, even that light flickered and went out, plunging me into darkness. I reached out, desperate to find a switch, a phone, anything. But as I moved, I felt it, the unmistakable sensation of fingers brushing against mine, cold and insubstantial yet undeniably there. I recoiled, stumbling back, my breath catching in my throat. In the darkness, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. I could feel them now, all around me, the air thick with their presence. They were closing in, a spectral noose tightening with every passing second. And then, a voice, clearer than the others, cut through the darkness, its tone commanding, chilling. "Watch." A flash of light, blinding and brief, illuminated the room. For a moment, I saw them all around me, faces pale and eyes hollow, their expressions a tableau of sorrow and malice. Then the light was gone, and I was alone in the darkness, the echo of that final command reverberating through the shadows. Watch. What they wanted, what they intended, I couldn't fathom. But as the darkness settled around me, smothering and complete, I understood one thing clearly: the horror had only just begun, and my night of terror was far from over. As the utter blackness enveloped me, a frigid whisper caressed the nape of my neck, stirring the hairs there into a dance of dread. The oppressive silence was suddenly shattered by a cacophony of hushed voices, swirling around me like a tempest of lost souls. The darkness felt alive, animated by the malevolent spirits that had followed me from the theater. "Watch." The voices echoed again, a command impossible to ignore. My heart pounded against my rib cage, each beat a drumroll of terror. I fumbled in the dark, my hands shaking as I sought the light switch. When my fingers finally grazed the cold plastic, I flicked it desperately. Nothing. The power was dead. The air grew colder, a creeping frost that seemed to seep into my bones. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to preserve the dwindling warmth of my body as the room seemed to contract, the walls inching closer in the impenetrable darkness. Then, the faint glow of the television flickered back to life. The screen was filled with static at first, a storm of black and white that gradually coalesced into a clearer picture. What appeared was not the continuation of the old movie, but an image so disturbing, it rooted me to the spot. The screen showed a room, dark and angular under the flicker of an unseen light. It took me a moment to recognize it as my own living room, the camera angle bizarrely skewed as if suspended in midair. The image was grainy, the edges blurred, but unmistakably, there I was, standing in the middle of the room, looking around wildly. The television was filming me in real time, broadcasting my fear for an unseen audience. I spun around to locate the camera, but there was nothing in the dark, only the empty air and the feel of unseen eyes upon me. As I turned back to the screen, the image shifted. The camera zoomed slowly, inexorably closer to my face, my eyes wide with horror reflected back at me. "See what we see," a voice whispered, so close it could have been my own thought. The camera continued its merciless approach until all I could see on the screen were my eyes, the fear in them palpable. Then, in the depths of my pupils, another image began to take shape, an image of that dark, abandoned theater. It was as if my eyes had become windows to that cursed place, and in the theater, figures moved. Shadowy figures, drifting between the aisles, their movements jerky and unnatural. I tried to look away, to break the connection, but my body wouldn't obey. My eyes were locked on the screen, on the horror unfolding within them. The figures in the theater stopped moving and turned in unison to face me, or rather, the me in my own eyes. They began to walk forward, coming closer, their features becoming clearer. They were ushers, ticket takers, viewers, specters of every soul who had ever been trapped in that haunted space. As they approached, a new voice joined the chorus, a voice robust with a commanding tone that overpowered the whispers. "Join us. Be part of the story," it boomed, the theater's walls seeming to shake with the power of it. The spectral audience reached the screen of the theater in my eyes, pressing against it, their hands leaving smudges on the invisible barrier. And then, to my horror, they began to seep through, their forms dissolving into mist as they passed through my eyes and into my living room. I watched, frozen in terror, as the mist formed into shapes around me. The room filled with cold, whispering shadows, each one a ghostly replica of the figures from the screen. They circled me, their movements echoing the swirling whispers, forming a vortex of spectral energy. Their eyes were hollow, their expressions etched with unspeakable grief and malice. "We are the forgotten, the consumed," they murmured, their voices a chilling chorus. "The story never ends. It consumes all. You watched, now you belong." I felt a pull, an inexorable draw toward the center of their circle. My feet moved against my will, step by shuffling step, into the heart of the vortex. The cold bit deeper, 1,000 icy needles against my skin. The shadows reached for me, their hands cold and insubstantial, yet heavy with the weight of their touch. "You are one of us now," they whispered. One of the shadows in the dark. As I stood there, the realization of my fate sinking in, the screen flickered once more and then went completely dark. The last thing I saw before the darkness consumed me was the reflection of my own eyes on the blank screen, filled with the same hollow grief I had seen in theirs. The darkness was absolute now, the cold complete. The whispers faded into a distant echo, but their message lingered, chilling me to the core. "You are one of us." In the profound blackness, I waited, my heart a steady drum of dread, for what would come next. The story was far from over, the horror only just beginning. As I stood enveloped by the shadows, a new whisper began, its message a harbinger of the terror yet to unfold. "Watch and see." And somewhere in the depths of the darkness, something new began to stir, a fresh horror ready to unfold its wings. The night was still young, and the whispers promised more fear, more dread, more stories to be consumed by. In the void of darkness, the faint whispers swelled into a chorus of murmurs, each voice a spectral filament entwining my soul, drawing it further into the abyss that had opened within the walls of my home. I stood frozen, a statue of fear, my own breath a ghostly echo in the suffocating silence. The inky blackness seemed to pulsate with a life of its own, its rhythm syncing with my hammering heart. As I stood there, enveloped in a shroud of night, a sliver of light unexpectedly sliced through the gloom. It was thin, barely perceptible, but it was undeniably there, a crack in the darkness, a flaw in the fabric of my nightmare. Emboldened by this unexpected glimmer, I moved toward the light, each step tentative as if the ground beneath me might give way at any moment. The whispers grew frantic, their spectral claws scraping against the edges of my mind, desperate to pull me back. "Stay," they hissed. "Belong." But the light beckoned, promising warmth, promising escape. As I drew closer, the source of the light became apparent. It was the television screen, flickering back to life, the static clearing to reveal an image so stark, so vivid, it seared itself into my retinas. It was the theater, the very same one I had fled. But this time, it was different. The screen showed the theater in daylight, its dilapidated facade under the harsh glare of the sun. People walked past it, oblivious to its dark history, its spectral inhabitants. It was just an old building now, nothing more. As I watched, transfixed, the camera panned inside, the dusty aisles and tattered seats empty and benign in the sunlight. The screen then cut to a close-up of an old film projector, its surface dusty, but its lens gleaming oddly in the beam of light cutting through the broken ceiling. Then, the whispers shifted, their tone changing from malevolent to pleading. "Free us," they murmured. Understanding dawned on me, a cold, sharp clarity. The spirits, the shadows, they were trapped, bound to the theater, bound to the endless loop of their own horror. And somehow, I had become part of their story, a living link to the world outside their cinematic prison. The whispers continued, a litany of sorrow and regret. End the story, break the cycle. I looked at the screen, at the projector that seemed almost expectant in its stillness. An idea formed, wild and improbable, but it was all I had. I had to go back to the theater, back to the source of this nightmare. Grabbing my keys, I left the apartment, the darkness seeming to press close, reluctant to let me go. The night was silent as I drove, the streets empty, the city asleep or perhaps hiding from the shadows that I now knew lurked in every corner. The theater loomed ahead, more ominous by night than by day, its facade a grim mask. I parked and approached the entrance, the old posters peeling from the walls, their colors faded to ghosts of their former selves. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay, but I pressed on, guided by the thin beam of my flashlight. The whispers followed, a constant presence at my back. I reached the projection room and pushed open the door, its hinges groaning in protest. The projector sat there as it had in the vision, coated in dust, silent. I approached it, my hands trembling as I reached out and touched its cold metal surface. It felt charged, electric, as if it were waiting for this moment. Drawing a deep breath, I searched for the power switch, my fingers finally closing around it. With a flick, the projector whirred to life, its mechanisms groaning as it awakened from its long slumber. The film began to roll, the beam of light cutting through the darkness of the theater, hitting the screen with a flicker. But instead of a movie, the light projected my own face, larger than life, my eyes wide with realization and fear. "End it," I whispered to myself. With a sudden movement, I reached for the film, pulling it from the projector. The film tore with a sound like a scream, the images distorting, melting away into nothingness. The whispers crescendoed, then ceased abruptly. Silence fell, heavy and complete. I waited, my breath held, but there was nothing more. No voices, no shadows. Just the quiet, filling the spaces like daylight filling the night. Stepping back, I let the broken film fall from my hands, its fragments catching the light as they fluttered to the ground. The theater was just a theater now, its ghosts freed, its stories ended. As I left the building, the first rays of dawn were breaking over the horizon, the night receding like a bad dream. I felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders, a weight I hadn't even known I was carrying. The city awoke as I drove home, the early morning light washing the streets clean. When I reached my apartment, the door swung open to a room filled with sunlight, the shadows banished to the corners where they belonged. Exhausted but at peace, I sank onto my couch, the ordeal over, the horror ended. Or so I thought. But as I closed my eyes, a faint whisper caressed my ear, a reminder that some stories, once started, never truly end. See you soon. And somewhere, in a dark corner of the world, a new story began to unfold, a new cycle of horror ready to be told. But that is a tale for another time. For now, rest, and remember, the darkness is never far away, and every light casts a shadow.